Hello everyone, and welcome to Signals of Hope, Cairo. My name is Niki Terron. I work in the international team of Frankfurt Book Fair. To choose your language, please click on the globe icon below and choose English or Arabic. Signals of Hope Cairo is a program created and organized by Frankfurt Book Fair, Goethe Institute, Arab Voices, and the EPA, with the financial support of the German Federal Foreign Office. Our goal with this program is to offer Egyptian and international publishers a platform to discuss topics that are relevant for the whole industry, and also to give you and us some hope in these challenging times. And today we are very happy to welcome experts from both countries on the topic of new initiatives in publishing communities. For your information, the seminars are recorded and the videos will be available online on the Frankfurt Book Fair playlist afterwards. And now I wish you a very inspiring seminar, and I hand over to my colleague Abbas, Megahead in Cairo.
مساء الخير الناشرين والناشرات المهتم من سلسلة الندوات اللي مسميينها القاهرة الأمل يبدأ في الظروف الصعبة اللي احنا بنمر بيها حاليا. نتمنى انه دي تكون سلسلة من ندوات تبعث على الأمل. للنقطة تنظيمية بس بسيطة بالنسبة للترجمة، يا ريت لو بتبصوا تحت على الشاشة هتلاقوا في الكرة الأرضية، رمز الكرة الأرضية، لما تضغطوا عليها هيظهر لكم اللغتين الإنجليزية والعربية، فيا ريت تختاروا اللغة المناسبة بالنسبة لكم. برحب في البداية بيكم وبأشكر جزيلا كل من شركائنا. طبعا في البداية معرض فرانكفورت الكتاب اللي قدر يدينا الفرصة ان احنا نشوف بعض حتى ولو بشكل يعني افتراضي، وايضا برحب وبشكر الاتحاد الناشرين المصريين والخارجية الألمانية اللي ادتنا وسمحت لنا الفرصة ان احنا نقوم بسلسلة الندوات دي. بحب برضو أنوه إن إحنا هيبقى اللقاء اللي إحنا قايمين بيه ده مسجل بس للعلم، وطبعا أثناء اللقاء هيبقى فيه presentations PowerPoint presentations أو عروض تقديمية، فمن منكم يعني
if you are interested
نيكي تقدروا تتواصلوا مع نيكي، هتبعت الايميل بتاعها في الشات وتقدروا تبعتوا لها وهي هتبعت لكم البرزنتيشنز. الندوة القادمة والأخيرة في السلسلة دي هي أحب برضو أنوه عنها قبل ما أدي كلمة لشريف. هتكون بعنوان نماذج أعمال جديدة أو New Business Models، وهتكون يوم 29 اللي جاي أيضا في تمام الساعة 2 بتوقيت القاهرة. بتمنى لنا أمسية أو ندوة سعيدة، ودلوقتي بدي الكلمة لشريف. اتفضل يا شريف.
مساء الخير على الجميع، برحب بكم. أنا شريف بكر، ناشر العربي نشر التوزيع ومنسق مبادرة أصوات عربية للمساعدة في ترجمة الأدب العربي.
A platform of Arab Voices for the translation of Arab works. We work with the Goethe Institute and the Book Fair in Frankfurt. We have made this initiative of Signals of Hope to give hope.
أو أكتر في جائحة كورونا وأثرها، ولقينا إن إحنا نستغل الفرصة إن ممكن عن طريق الزوم وعن طريق الإنترنت نقدر نفيد الناشرين بالتعاون بين مصر أو يعني الوطن العربي بشكل عام أو اللغة العربية وألمانيا في إيه الحاجات اللي ممكن تساعد الناشرين في الظروف دي. ويمكن حاولنا في خلال 3 حلقات نقاشيه قبل كده موجوده هتبقى، او هي موجوده اوريدي دلوقتي على اليوتيوب. نيكي تيرون هتحط لنا اللينك في الشات اللي عايز يبص عليهم اللي قبل كده. بنلقي اضواء على مبادرات جديده تقدر يا اما تزود، طبعا الهدف في الاخر ان احنا نبيع اكتر ونزود مبيعات الناشرين، بس ان احنا العمليه بتتم بخطوات مختلفه. واحده منهم اللي احنا هنتكلم عنها النهارده، وهي مبادرات جديده للتواصل، ازاي نقدر نتواصل مع الناشرين او نوصل الناشرين سواء مع بعض او مع القراء بطرق مختلفه. وعندنا متحدثين من ألمانيا ومن القاهرة هنتكلم في الحكاية دي. وبرضه بس كده هاوس رول زي ما بيقولوا، أو القواعد الأساسية هعيدها تاني عشان لو حد لسه داخل. احنا عندنا في ايكون تحت هنا كده بتاعت ترجمة، تختارها وتختار اللغة العربية أو الإنجليزية أو تسيبها زي ما هي، لأن الكلام هيتحول بعد كده في أجزاء منه للإنجليزي. في برضو تحت Q&A موجود، اللي عايز يسأل أي سؤال في أي وقت أو ملاحظة أو أي حاجة، احنا بنرحب بالأسئلة، ويا ريت تكلمونا وتقولوا لنا علشان يبقى بنقول اللي انتوا عايزينه، أو يعني في الاتجاه اللي انتوا عايزينه. واللي عايز البرزنتيشن يقدر يبعت لنيكي تيرون على الشات، أو يحط الإيميل بتاعه وهي هتبعت له البرزنتيشنز دي، أو حتى لو برزنتيشنز من حاجات قبل كده يقدر يتواصل. احنا هنبتدي دلوقتي مع فاطمة عباس. فاطمة عباس من مصر، وهي هتعرف نفسها وهتكلم على مبادرة الحقيقة طلعت من الكورونا على الفيسبوك. هي حاجة اسمها ناشرون بلا حدود أو Publishers Without Borders. هدف المبادرة دي كان إن الناس الأصدقاء اللي كانوا بيتقابلوا دايما في المعارض بقوا مرة واحدة ما لقوا إن هم مش عارفين يتقابلوا، فابتدوا يتقابلوا على الفيسبوك. والموضوع كبر قوي دلوقتي وبقى حاجه كبيره يعني، ولها اثر كبير، وابتدت تستغل باشكال مفيده جدا للناشرين. فيا ريت فاطمه تعرفينا على نفسك وتعرفينا على المبادره.
First of all, I would love to thank BWB because without Publishers Without Borders, I wouldn't be chosen for this panel. So first of all, let me introduce myself briefly. My name is Fatimah H. I work as an international publishing and literary consultant, and I have my own literary agency. And recently I became one of the co-founders of Publishers Without Borders Facebook network. Actually, before I talk about anything regarding the network, I would love to thank my colleagues, Simon de Jocas, because the idea actually is his area. And later on, he chose my friends, Prashant and Emma House, along with myself, to help him administrating the platform. And actually, to be honest, we didn't expect the network to be that big and to grow that bigger in the beginning. All what we thought of that to gather all the publishers from all the possible places around the world, from all the continents and from all the countries, to stand together and to gather each other together to strengthen each other. Because as we all know, because of the current circumstances and because of the coronavirus and the pandemic that hit all us badly, we need to be together, we need to stand together. So that was the core idea of creating this group, and we never expected that it would grow that big. But luckily, because of the good people we had and with the good initiatives we had also, now we are over 4,000 members with the 3.6 active members in the group. So I hope it keep growing bigger and bigger, and we can all benefit from such a platform.
Could you please, Fatima, share your presentation with the group?
Yes, now. As a brief presentation presenting Publishers Without Borders, or as we say it, PWB. If people are asking who are we or who are PWB members, I would love to say that we created this platform on March 2020 in the heart of the pandemic. And as I just mentioned, the main idea of creating such a group was to gather all the publishers together and to make, like a virtual platform for us to all meet, to share ideas, to share challenges, issues that concern the publishing industry. And later on, we started to get some development in the group. We noticed that so many people are encouraged to be in this platform. So we thought, why not we get some development and we create some issues. So we started to put some group rules to gather all the people together, because as you know, we are from very different cultures and backgrounds, from all continents of the world, from all the countries. Each has his own background and culture. So we decided to keep this in a shape of the group rules. So because we mainly created this group just to be together and just to share all the concerns and the issues we have, we decided to have this group only, let's say, for fun, only for social gathering, for virtual meetings. No business is allowed into groups. So that's why we put the first law with the marketing collateral. We don't allow any marketing kinds, whether a publisher can allow, can promote his books, his Facebook page, or any kind of business into group. This is not allowed. And also because to gather all the people together without any, let's exceeding the limits, we urge all the people of the group to be kind to each other, to talk in a very good manner with each other, with no hate speech or bullying or any kind of racism or any kind of discrimination. And also any kind of a promotion, as I just mentioned, or a spamming post is not allowed. And eventually respecting everyone's privacy. That's why we have the slogan of what happens in PWP stays in PWP, because we are not allowed to share anything out of the group as it's a private platform. Now to move to the more serious parts, as I just mentioned that we decided to get some development, to get something that is meaningful for the group members. We managed to hold over 30 live sessions with industry experts from all over the world, speaking on diverse topics. We had something called country focus. That's a long sessions, that's a very long series, consists of so many episodes, focusing on each country. In each week, we had so many countries like Canada, Sweden, Mexico, Romania, Iceland, and recently we got the one for the Baltic countries, which was very important because not everyone know a lot about the Baltic countries, and that they has a translation program and that they has a very rich culture in books and everything. So that was very meaningful. Rather than that, we had something called all-day open sessions. In some global events like the World Book and the Copyrights Day, or the ceremony of the World Capital, or the IPA new presidents and vice presidents, we had that all-day open session to talk with all the people that are concerned in these parts, to know more from them, to hear their thoughts and to get more information. Also, we managed to organize some sessions for fellowship organizers, like the one happens in Frankfurt, the one in Guadalajara, the one in Sharjah, and so many around the world. That was very meaningful, that was very informative, because even the fellowship organizers were able to be together and to share their ideas and thoughts on what they are going to do next because of the circumstances we are having right now. Also, our live sessions covered a lot of important events like APNET, or APNET as we call it, which is the African Publishers Network. And this is a very important program that's aiming to promote or to represent African publishers to the world through books, and also the SDGs, or the Sustainable Development Goals in publishing. And there's something like a petition issued by the IPA, or the International Publishers Association, for the industry exporters that wants to take part. So they signed this petition, and after that they are committed to the Sustainable Development Goals, which there are like 17 goals, like zero hunger, no poverty, about education, about health, and so on. So we can do this through publishing and books. The same goes for IPA events, or International Publishers Association events. We had a very nice talk, or we called it a farewell, with the previous president of IPA and the next one. And we had also a very informative talk with the recent publishers president for the International Publishers Association, and her vice president, which is the first Arab woman and the second in the world. Also, to cut it short, we had so many initiatives covered in PWB, like the publisher network, the IBA awards ceremony. We presented women in publishing, especially from some countries, like in Mozambique, for instance, because not many people know about this region of the world, and they have very rich culture, which is very important. And we also had some session about diversity and inclusion, which was very, very important. And it was very informative for us, even because we knew so many areas and so many thoughts we are trying to apply on the publishing industry for the coming future. Also recently, in the past couple of months, we had something called the mentorship program, which is, in my opinion, the most important thing we had in PWB and the most effective thing we had, which is a partnership program that connects people who have a specific skills and knowledge, like in publishing, in distribution, in foreign rights, and marketing, and whatever in the publishing industry. We connect those people with the ones who need or want the same skill or advantage to strengthen the work and skill level, or the industry performance. And so far, we now have around 30 registered mentors, and I'm attaching the link here. If anybody wants to sign up, I can send the link, or Nikki can send the link with the presentation later on. And here are some statistics for our group, like the location dynamics. You can see if in the statistics we have that we have top countries and top cities. And also because Publishers Without Borders is culturally and geographically diverse, we, the admins, we are 4 admins from different 4 continents and different countries with different background and different culture. So do the group members, each with her own culture and language, that helped us learn more about different cultures and background that we didn't know much about before. And we are ourselves learned a lot about other countries and other cultures that we didn't know anything about before. And for the membership itself, I mentioned in the beginning of the presentation that we are over 4,000 members, with 3.6 active members in the group, which is a really good number. And as we can see, the women represent 6% compared to 34% for men. So we can say that it's more of a women platform. And here are some other statistics for the growth rate of the group and the engagement level for the previous 3 months. You can see that we have so much progress. And here is the team that I want to thank one more time. Simon the Joka, he is the one who has the core idea and asked us to be with him. Emma House, Prashant, and myself. And I would love to thank Prashant one more time, because he helped me a lot in creating this presentation, and he gave me all the necessary statistics. And here you can find the link for the Facebook group page. We have an account on Twitter. We can tweet there. We have a Clubhouse account. And also, I forgot to mention that we created another platform on LinkedIn with the same name, Publisher Without Borders, and this one for business. And for whoever wants to have business to ask for anything related, he can join us on LinkedIn. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Fatima. That was really insightful, and I think we have a lot to discuss now, but we'll try to be brief. So we also talked to Miriam. I remember this time of the year, last year, when the pandemic was hitting everybody and everything was closed. We were all waiting for Publishers Without Borders meeting with Jürgen Bors, the head of the Frankfurt Book Fair. And that was like a changing point. How would it be? There would be a Frankfurt, or would it be? What are the preparations? So it was really something to look for, and PWB was really active in this point. You were talking about the whole PWB as a way of the pandemic. What's the importance of networking in our line of business? This is also a question that our publishers ask, is like, okay, we know each other. Why would we want to know about someone from South America or someone from Iceland? What would this be useful for?
Actually, in my modest point of view, networking is very important, not just for PWB. I mean, in general, networking is very important. I know that we, as Arab publishers, or let's say German publishers together, Canadian publishers together, we know each other, and we have this network within each other's, but it's very important for us to be open to the world, to know more about other countries, to even know that there are other countries in the world that they have a rich culture and rich background in literature. It gives us more opportunities, especially because all the publishers now are open for foreign rights, and they are seeking foreign rights and translations of different languages to promote the culture, and even to promote our titles in different countries worldwide. So in my opinion, this is very important, because networking, reassessing the qualification to be able to utilize in so many sectors, it's also an avenue for newer opportunities, and it opens the door for newer opportunities for publishers everywhere, and to meet business and career-minded individuals who have networked over time and have been able to expand because of the avenue of newer opportunities open to them through networking. It's also, let's say, an extra resource library for us. We know more about other cultures, about other books, other book titles. I benefited a lot myself, and it makes you more noticeable to other publishers. And in my opinion, we should be all one community, not just limited to certain nationality together. You know, we should all be one community worldwide, sharing the same ideas and thoughts and exchanging different ideas.
Okay, but let me ask you about the Arab presence in the PWB. Do you think it's enough publishers from the Arab world are there? Are they participating enough? Or is there a language barrier? Because I know that a lot of publishers in the Arab world may not perfect in English, or are sometimes they're very good, but they are kind of shy to participate or something, especially that the platform is also very social. So there is a lot of discussions and jokes and things that are not easy to travel between countries. So what do you think of the Arab presence at the PWB?
Yeah, I agree, and I guess we need to be more in PWB, even more participating. Maybe there are a lot of members already registered in the group, but very, very few are participating. Actually, I barely noticed an Arab publisher participating in the group. And as you mentioned, it may be because of the language barrier, because it's a global platform. So we use the global language, which is English. So it would be a bit difficult for someone to post with the different language, so the others want to get it. So I guess yeah, we have an issue regarding the Arab publishers. But from here, I encourage them to participate more, even if they don't have very good English. That doesn't matter. The more important is to be able to communicate. To no need to be speaking like a native English speaker.
I know that a lot of Arab publishers are a bit shy when it comes to languages, and that's just when you break it and you start to speak, things becomes easy, and people are very accommodating to this. So maybe after this session, we should look at your statistics again and see what increased from where, if this helped also the PWB as well as others. You were talking about the mentoring program. That's really interesting for me and for others, because at some point, if you take courses, if you attend sessions, you are stuck in some points. So can you shed more light on the mentoring program? Who participates, how to do, how it works exactly? So if I want something, what should I do?
Actually, it's a very easy step. We post, frequently post in the group the link to sign up, and also if you went through the settings of the group, you can see the link for the mentorship. You just sign up with your name, stating the skills you have or what you can help other people with, and then you are registered. And then if I'm a mentee or a protege, as they say, that I want to get a skill or I want to learn about something, I went through the list of the mentors, and I choose the one that I need would benefit me in something, and we just connect together, or we call it like a mentorship pairs.
Mm-hmm.
So and they can talk to each other.
This is done in privately. This is done in privately. So just meet at the website, and then they use emails or any other communication.
Yeah, definitely. You feel free to connect to each other in any way you want.
Okay.
And I may also post the link once again after the session.
So I'm just sharing my presentation with you. Well, thank you very much for having me as well. I'm happy to be here now. Good afternoon to everybody. I will also briefly introduce myself. My name is Miriam Zeh. I'm working as a literary critic, as an editor and radio host for German National Radio. And before I'm presenting you 5 initiatives in German publishing, which were founded in reaction to COVID, I would like to give you a really brief insight into the German book market in general, so that you can see what publishers and booksellers had to deal with for the last 1.5 years. If we look at the figures from 2019, so the year before the pandemic, we see that the majority of sales, namely 46%, comes from the retail book trade without e-commerce. So we have a majority of readers going into their local bookstores and buying their book there, where they can pick the books up, look at the books, maybe even read a few pages before they go to the checkout. And also in these bookstores, people can often get recommendation from booksellers. They can have a look at the best-selling list or at a collection of books that won recent literary prizes. As you might know, we have several prizes for literature that are awarded throughout the year. And some prizes, as the German Book Award, come with a long list and a short list of nominees. So like the Booker Prize in the UK, for example. And with these lists, which are accompanied by a marketing campaign in local bookstores each year, one is always hoping, of course, to get some attention for the exceptional books. Also, because maybe an interesting figure for you to know, we have about 70,000 books published in Germany each year. So as a reader, you might want some guidance through all these forthcoming books, and you get these recommendations, this guidance in your local bookstore, for example. Now, with bookstores closed for months during shutdown, The situation was especially challenging for the retail book trade. There were some federated states in Germany that kept bookstores open during lockdown, arguing that bookstores are of daily need. Bookstores are intellectual filling station. That was a wording Klaus Lederer, Berlin's Senator of Culture, was shaping. But I can tell you that not all booksellers I talked to were too happy about their stores staying open in these exceptional situations, especially if they had a tiny shop area where they were unable to protect their employees and their customers from possible contagions. So there were mixed feelings about bookstores staying open during lockdown, but as I said, it was an exception in some parts of Germany and not in the whole country. So if you look at the diagram, internet book trade has a share of 20%, had a share of 20% in 2019. That was something the book market could build on during COVID. And if I may draw your attention to the even larger number of 21% of sales that are made by publishers directly. So mostly every publisher has an online bookshop for that. And that turned out to be very valuable during the Corona pandemic. But very few local bookstores have such an online shop, and that definitely became a problem for retail book trade in 2020. Just 2 weeks ago, at the beginning of July, the Association of the German Book Trade announced some interim results from the German book market during the COVID pandemic, and they were very keen to emphasize that the appetite for books was particularly high during these challenging times, and you can't deny that. A survey conducted in 2021 showed that 25% of German readers picked up a book more often than before the pandemic, and this increase is particularly high among the young age group, among 10 to 19-year-olds. 34% read more often, and among 20 to 29-year-olds, 32% read more often during COVID. Local bookstores in particular have significantly increased their online sales if they had found an opportunity to sell books, whether via online shops or via telephone or whatever they could think of. And I really want to highlight how much dedication, especially independent bookstores, put into reaching the customers during COVID. My bookseller in Cologne, for example, he delivered books by bike, and I know that many did. If you lived nearby, and you could order your books by Telegram chat or by WhatsApp chat, and they sent a weekly newsletter with recommendations, and they really arranged lovely packages with your books and some candy for Christmas and a personal note wishing you a lovely read. Nevertheless, overall, the bookstores were, and they still are, under heavy economic pressure due to higher handling costs and significant losses in physical bookstore business. The total turnover of the industry remained relatively stable in 2020 at plus 0.1%. Business in local bookstores remains the strongest sales channel, so it is the same in 2020 as we saw in 2019, but recorded losses minus 9%. Online business in general has grown almost 21% and accounted for around a quarter of total sales revenues in the Corona year 2020. And I like to highlight in particular, particularly that with 27%, the growth rate for booksellers' online shops was almost 4 times higher than the growth rate of Amazon. Amazon had a growth rate of 7.2% last year. Now, in summer 2021, publishers are optimistic that the return of face-to-face events such as Frankfurt Book Fair With that, important platforms for new books are coming back, and public discussion about literature will intensify once again. And many booksellers, especially the independent ones that I mentioned, have also intensified their ties to their customers and are now actively catching up to reduce the revenue deficit resulting from the last year's shutdown. And here's where I see some signals of hope, namely in all people that managed to embrace the pandemic as an opportunity for personalized communication, both on and offline. And the initiatives that I'm going to present you now have done that. First, I picked a rather simple one, but it was exceedingly successful around Christmas. As in many countries, December is the best month for bookstores. Every third present given away in Germany is a book. And here, above all else, personal recommendation from booksellers come into play. So when bookstores had to be closed in most parts of Germany, some booksellers and some publishers as well gave personalized book recommendation via Instagram. We have a huge bookstagram community, a huge book community on Instagram. Facebook is still the most used network in Germany, but the second most one used is Instagram. And Instagram has become really influential regarding a certain aesthetic. Also on the German book market in 2020, for example, you could see several book covers reflecting an Instagrammable aesthetic. So that was soft colors, a minimalistic design, and also different materials which came into play on book covers. And also some booksellers such as Florian Valerius alias Literary Nerd or Maria Christina Piwowarski from Berlin, they have built a large community, a large and an active community on Instagram around bookish content. And in December 2020, they were using the question button on Instagram stories to ask their followers, for whom do you want to get a book for Christmas? And people were asking, for example, oh, I'm looking for a book for my father-in-law. And people were often including some information about the person. For example, he's 75 years old. He's very conservative. He likes nonfiction. And then the bookseller is recommending, here you can see Jill Lepore's These Truths, a story of the United States in German translation, or a book by Maxim Leo telling the true story of a Jewish family which scattered around the world fleeing from the Nazis, and then their children and grandchildren find their ways back to Berlin where their ancestors lived. So these recommendations like this were very successful, and I think because the booksellers found a way to communicate with their customers directly and personalized. And I think this will definitely outlive the Corona pandemic, and it's also transferable to other online platforms, because I was told that Facebook is the most important network in Egypt, and I'm sure one could find a way to implement these recommendations on Facebook as well. The second initiative I'd like to introduce to you is a project that I co-founded in October 2020. We had a multimedia platform in mind, but then, well, yeah, COVID hit us again, and we started basically an Instagram channel named Books Up. And we are presenting new books in short and often playful videos. We focus on interaction, both with the authors of these books, who give short interviews, who give insights into their writing process, but we also are looking for interaction with our followers. So with our audience, we have, for example, a lottery every week where you can win our book of the week, and we have reading groups. And so every month our community gets to choose a book of the month, and then we are reading this book together. And at the end of the month, we are having an online and live event with the author of this book of the month. And there you can ask him or her any questions like, why did this or that character die? Or where did you get all your crazy ideas? Books Up is funded by the State Ministry of Culture and Science, North Rhine-Westphalia. That's where my Books Up colleagues and I live. And our goal was it, or is it, to make especially an offer for a younger audience, because the literary content in newspaper or in radio often addresses people between 40 and 60, and our target audience at Books Up is between 25 and 35 years old. Also, we are making content for people that don't have to be super experienced readers. So in fact, they don't have to call themselves readers at all, to the effect that they spend hours and hours per week reading. But with Books Up, we want to show them that books and literature can really be integrated in your everyday life. And you all know, in our everyday life, we don't have much time. We are busy with work, with studying, with our children, with our family, with meeting friends. And that's why our Books Up presentations are really short. They're about 3 minutes long. We have authors read from their books about 2 to 3 minutes. And so you can just swipe by at Books Up, get some stories, or you can get inspired and then get the book that we recommended, and then spend your evening or spend your Sunday reading it. Another way of integrating books into people's media routine are online readings. Authors' readings have gotten more and more popular in Germany over the last years. And during COVID, many promoters were building on that, providing readings online. An online festival that immediately launched a program was Viral, organized by a literary magazine based in Switzerland named Glitter. And they were streaming several readings per evening for quite some weeks. You can see from the 15th of March until the 16th of August 2020. And since it was such a spontaneous project, the festival really got its charm from its improvised character, but also it became very personal, because the authors were often reading from their living rooms or from their offices at home. Where else should they have gone? And then many of them decorated their spaces or created a funny or an interesting background for their reading. And everybody could join these readings actually for free. There were several houses of literature which were asking for entrance fee for those readings once they had some experience with online events, and once they had established a ticketing system that was not as simple as one thought it could be. And the organizers I talked to, they were really reporting a steady willingness to pay for those online events. But maybe one has to add that during Corona pandemic, they were significantly fewer readings, also fewer opportunities to attend those readings. And now in autumn, there are again readings with physical present people planned. So maybe the popularity of these online readings like Viral would have decreased over time, but that's just a speculation. I still think it's an interesting format. A festival that was not founded during COVID, but that turned out to be rather pandemic friendly, is called Leseklub Festival, or Reading Club Festival. And it is following the idea of reading clubs that I already mentioned related to Books Up, meaning several people come together having read the same book and then talking about their reading experience. When you buy a ticket for Leseklub Festival, for this festival, you are getting the book sent to your home, address a few weeks before the event. Then you have to read the book, and at the event you get a meet and greet with the author. So you come together in small groups, around 20 people. There's always one host leading the discussion, and the author will read a few pages from the novel, and then there's plenty of time to discuss the novel, give him or her any questions that you can think of, and also you connect with other readers. And that's something I really like about this festival, that's the local anchoring. There are readings in 11 cities throughout Germany, and at the event you are getting to know other readers or other people from your area, and then you can exchange numbers, or you can co-join a Facebook group, so you can find ways to stay in touch. And yes, as I said, this festival has turned out to be very pandemic friendly, because you don't get together with a lot of people. So I think the chances are really good that the Reading Club Festival will take place this year, 17th of September. The last idea I would like to share with you is not really an initiative reacting to the pandemic, but something I find worth notable, especially in the light of COVID, with all these, as I said, difficulties reaching your customers or reaching readers. And there are two projects that are switching media, meaning switching from the book to, for example, Instagram stories. The New York Public Library has shown literary classics such as The Raven by Franz Kafka as an Instagram story. So you could see some moving picture, you could read some sentences, and then you were getting the essence of The Raven by Franz Kafka, of Franz Kafka's short story, without picking up a book. So there are some customer groups, I think, that are, especially on the visual centered platforms like Instagram, some customers that are really very attached to the book as an aesthetic object. But I think not all customers are, or the book is not the only surface which can be attractive, and creating a short movie on another interface can also, I think, be very appealing, and I think catch people that are not too drawn to the book as an object. Another example for switching media is the app Tab, which shows books as chats, because we all are much more used to read or to write chats, so chat with our friends and family, then we are used to read books. And again, the media routine that younger people already have is employed to advantage here. And this is also an example, I think, for getting the books to people, even if bookstores are closed. I have to add, maybe with these examples, that Germans are still pretty obsessed with books as objects. If you look at the digital book market, it saw an upswing in 2020. Sales of ebook downloads in general, public book market rose up 16%, but by that only increasing their share of sales in general from 5 to 5.9%. So there's only 5.9% of ebooks in German book market. That's not too much. So I think the opportunities for German publishers and booksellers are to find in personalized communication with their customers, whom they are selling the books made, from paper. But I have in mind that Egyptian readers have slightly different preferences. So I'm really curious what you think about these initiatives I presented, and how you think they could work for you. Also, I'm happy to take any questions, and thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Miriam. That's very informative. And it's really very inspiring as well. There's a lot of ideas and things that you give that might work or not. Also, we have to check this with you right now on what works in Egypt or not, because as you said, of a different community and a different look at the books, where you sell in like Christmas, where you sell more older people and stuff. But let me check with you. At the time of the pandemic, you said that people were also focused on bookstores and if they close and open, and why Amazon didn't pick up on this? Because you have Amazon.de and we have Amazon.eg opening very soon. So tell us, why didn't people go for Amazon? It's safe, clean, and they can deliver it to your home. I know that Amazon had deep prioritized the books at some point in America. I don't know what happened in Germany. Can you share it here, shed a light on this?
Yes, it was actually the same in Germany. So Amazon was deep prioritizing books. So they were really fast in selling other stuffs, but books were at a lower category during the pandemic. And actually, I think that's a reason why also we often have Amazon in German media because they don't have the best conditions for their workers. I think that might also be a point for some customers here, why they choose their local bookstores over Amazon, and really many German readers did.
Okay, so people like prefer like the more ecological, the more human rights thing more than this. That's also I think an educated buyer also looks at it's not just the pricing, because you have a fixed price system, I know, in Germany, so the price would not matter, but they would like to support their local. I don't know if you're familiar or not, there is an initiative in the UK called, I think, bookshops.org, where it's like the independent bookshops came together trying to do also an online sales, but through their own bookshops. Does anything of this happen in Germany, or any initiatives coming?
Yes, on the one hand, we have some local bookstores that really were building up an online shop on their own, so doing it themselves. But we also have an initiative, it's called Buying Local, I think, and it's really local bookstores coming together and implementing an online shop system where the books are delivered to your home for free. And that's often used by independent bookstores that are too small somehow, that they create their own online shops, but come together with several other colleagues and then doing this at Buy Local. Yeah.
Okay, and what about the target groups? Because you mentioned in your presentation a 75-year-old man who wants to order books, and also an initiative for young readers, 18 to 24 or something like this. Definitely, the way they interact with the social media is different. Their needs are different. So what would you recommend for publishers or booksellers to how to look at this point? What difference would they put in their work?
I really think with all the advantages of social media, all the chances that social media is giving us, you have to make different offers or different services for different audience, for different target groups. And I think there are a lot of services for, like I said, for the older audience group, 40 years plus and so on. They get a lot of newspaper or radio programs, but I see fewer programs for the younger audience, and that's where the independent initiatives, like I said, Books Up, really have to step in, because newspaper and national radio really is moving slowly in this direction. And I think there's there are a lot of readers who are really really get them interested into books and into reading. There are a lot of great books for this audience group on the German market as well, and I'm sure on the Arabic market as well. And somehow you have to address them. They are not buying a newspaper. They are maybe not even listening to the radio. They're listening to podcasts. They are on Instagram, maybe Clubhouse. They're on Facebook, and you have to get there if you want them to buy and to talk about books. That
brings us to a very important point. Who does this? Because we always blame publishers here that they are not that active, or they are not that in terms of like following the latest on Instagram and stuff. where we have other initiatives, which is very popular now in the Arab world. I don't know in Germany, who are booktubers. These are people who are into the technology and they have their own channels, and then they can talk about books, and this makes a difference somehow in sales. So, I mean, should a publisher have his own channel, or who builds all this, he does all these initiatives that you say, or he just join, or there would be some kind of an objective or independent organization or someone who does this? How would you see this?
Yeah, well, I think it needs all of it, as you mentioned, and thank you very much for bringing up BookTube and at YouTube. That was a platform that I was leaving out in my presentation. It's also very, I think it's the third most used social media network in Germany. So first Facebook, then Instagram, and then YouTube. Yes, actually some publishers have managed really to create a really active and a large community on several of these platforms that we mentioned. And just yesterday I was attending a book launch on Instagram. So that's something that many publishers did during the pandemic, and that they are keeping right now, because right now you could do a physical meeting, but they often still prefer to do the online streaming, because sometimes you can really get more people. If you have a large community, you can get more people to attend. So I think that will be something that really will stick. But if you're asking me, I'm also working as literary critic. So, and of course, I want that the people buy the best books they can get. Yeah, the most innovative ones, the challenging ones, maybe. And that's why I think we also need independent channels like Books Up, maybe. Also, we have a huge national radio that should step in for the younger audience, I think. And we also, so we need the publishers, and they really have large communities in Germany already, but I think we also need independent channels. Yeah.
So the publisher, a normal publisher, not the big ones in Germany, they would have like a digital marketing department, or they would have a freelance who works for them, or they would have, how would they work in this? Because also you're competing with a lot of attention on Instagram or anything. Books are not that much comparing to other things, and interest as well. So what would a normal mid-sized small publisher in Germany have?
Yeah. Well, the large publishers, of course, will have a person who is responsible only for social media channels, also for blogger communication and Bookstagram communication relation stuff. But the mid-sized ones, of course, they won't. That's something they do, that the employees do as a plus besides their normal workload. Some are buying freelance people to help them, but I think that's often in terms of money. So do you really can afford to make one person just look for the social media? It's not an
investment that you need to discuss. Yeah, I mean, whether it's worth it or not. One question before we get Fatimah in with us in this. You mentioned also reading book clubs or reading book clubs. That's something also that's picking up in Egypt, whether it's kind of private or whether it's online, or whether they are groups on Facebook, not like PWB. This is more professional, but like they call it like professional readers book club or something like that, where people join in and talk about their books or suggest titles. Or so how do you see publishers can use this? Is it like something should be totally independent, or should publishers be able to discuss or promote their books there, or it's something should go organic? How does it work, or how do you see it working?
Yeah, I think it's really an opportunity also for the publishers, because I know that some publishers give some extra materials into those reading groups. Maybe it's just some posters, some decoration, or maybe it's a recorded interview with the author. Maybe it's also like once in a year you can win a meet and greet with your reading group, meets the author or something. So I think that's really opportunities also publisher could use, and they really could address these reading groups as potential customers, of course. Yeah.
Okay, so I think Fatimah, could you join us now and we discuss more, the three of us? Welcome, Fatimah. Yes. I think the question will be to both of you together. It's about the podcast. And first we'll ask Fatimah, did you think of going for a podcast with PWB? This is one of the tools that you should implement as well. I mean, for all those beautiful discussions that you were talking, shouldn't be they also available as a podcast, which is very popular right now?
Actually, not yet, but you got us the idea now. So I guess, yes, I can discuss this with my colleagues. And yeah, that's a great idea, actually. I think we did everything but the podcast. So I think, yes, I think I need to discuss this with my colleagues. They are already watching. So yeah, I guess we need to do this one as well. And we have some podcast episodes that would be interesting.
Yeah. I see Simone saying that Parchant will be on in the next 10 minutes. There will be something happening. That's lovely. The beauty of technology also. And what about Miriam? What do you think of podcasts in Germany? About books? Does it work? Is it picking up?
Yes, in fact, there are some podcasts about books already. We also have thought with Books Up about doing a podcast. We have done this video formats, and actually also the next step that we are thinking of is making a podcast from these videos, so that you don't have to look at it all the time, but you can also just listen to the podcast while you are, I don't know, cleaning or cooking or something. Yeah, so to extract a podcast from our video formats, we are thinking about that.
Okay, so it seems that the podcast is coming everywhere. So Fatimah, also, what about using different new tools on Facebook? Do you have are you thinking of adding any more stuff? I mean, is Facebook adding stuff that you can use? Like, I don't know, they have the shop, they have the private discussions. Zoom has these rooms that they can make. Are you going to, invest in this, or what would you do?
We already used some features. Actually, for the shopping part, we can do this because, as I mentioned, this is not something for marketing or promotion. But we already used some features of the Facebook already provided us as a group, like the mentorship program. That was a new feature from the Facebook, so we get the best of it, and Prashant actually used it immediately. And we also used something called the Facebook rooms. That was a new trend back then, and we used this for having some something like book club. So we have an open discussion with some of the group members for some titles, and each has its own title that he liked, and we share some passages from the book we read for each other. So yeah, we used some features, and
kind of like a book club as well. Yeah, as a personal book club among publishers.
Yeah, exactly. And definitely anything new the Facebook will provide us, I'm sure Prashant will get the best of it.
He's your tech guy. I see.
Yeah, he's our technical wizard. We can do it without him.
Of course. So I also want to remind people that you can send a question. There's a question from Ali before we were cut, and we will answer it at the end. And you also can send us on the chat. And I think Nikki is sending a lot of links, important links. Just open them and save them later. They are really all important, and we can try to send them in a mail after that. And of course, the interpretation, if you want to listen to English or Arabic, there is the globe that you can choose the language. I'm just reminding everybody because time is ticking and we're closing soon. So we would like to hear from you as well. Miriam, what about networking in this field? I mean, Fatimah is all about networking and you're about talking to customers. Is there a way to mix them together somehow to network and try to sell as well to customers or readers, I mean?
Yes, I think it plays a big role as well, especially among independent initiatives. Actually, they are working together a lot. Also, people often work actually like I do. They work in several initiatives. So you're many people like I am freelancing, and you're actually working in several initiatives. I think networking also comes into play among, let's say, the non-professional readers, like we said, with reading clubs or something. So maybe you want to call it networking, but I think this connecting people, whether they're professionals or not, like I think it's important for both sides.
Okay, question to Fatimah as well about the culture sensitivity. When you have publishers from all over the globe like this, you would have some differences. As much as there are similarities, there are also some differences. How does PWB react to this, knowing and giving that we are different somehow? We can't say that we're all the same in this.
Yeah, it's not just some differences, there are a lot, and so many differences we faced, and we had some events actually, because as you mentioned, we are from all over the world, we're from different countries, and some people already doesn't know about other countries that they are even exist. So yeah, we had some events, like for instance, someone like threw a joke and we laugh so hard, and then we find someone, you know, he is just confusing, why the hell are you laughing, this is not even funny. So from here we can figure out that we are not all the same, we're not all on the same level of culture and background. That's why we always urge the group members that we are against any kind of discrimination, bullying, racism, and any kind of hate within the group, because we are all different and we have so many issues and events we faced already, and I'm sure you already witnessed some of them. But in my opinion,
yeah, but I think, as we said, it's better that we focus more on what brings us together than what brings us apart, because as you said, I remember I attended the Icelandic, for instance, book discussion, and that was interesting to know why is that, how they call the names of Iceland, how people are called, because they called like the son of blah or the daughter of blah. So it was very strange, because you always have this, you know, similarities, like all people from ex-Yugoslavia, they have the Vich at the end, and then you discover also why do they call it like this. It's very informative, and sometimes it's very positive, and yeah, sometimes it can go, I think, overboard for someone or the other. You step on something that you haven't seen.
Yeah, we are trying to keep an eye on every single post and every single word that is said within the group, and we're trying to control everything. So but in my opinion, even these differences add to our experience. It makes us discover new parts of the world, new cultures, and makes oneself more open to the world. So sometimes some people feel a bit offensive from some jokes or some posts, but we are always caring to clarify that it doesn't necessarily mean that this person meant to hurt another one. It should be okay at his country, but not okay in our country. So we need to have more tolerance together.
I think tolerance is the word. Yes, that's perfect. Yeah. Putting it. Miriam, there is one thing that you haven't talked about at all, and I'm surprised because it's really something that's picking up all over the world. What about audiobooks during the pandemic?
Yeah.
Because it's like perfect. You just download, you don't need to go, you listen to the latest. I mean, I think the industry is growing huge in Scandinavia and in Europe, and even in Egypt. I would say the Arab world is also the only thing that's growing during the pandemic was the audiobooks. What about Germany, in your opinion?
Yes, actually, we did have an increase of audiobooks during the Corona pandemic. Thank you for mentioning it. I think that actually we have a huge presence of Audible. I don't know if it's in
Not yet.
as well. Okay.
Not yet.
So
We have Storytel, which is
yeah,
like
yeah.
dominating the market right now.
Yeah, well, Audible is dominating the market in Germany, and actually just now more and more publishers are starting to produce their own audiobooks. And actually, I think that is something that they look more and more into it, because I think it could be better for them to actually make their own audiobooks than selling the rights to, I don't know, Audible often or something. So I think the huge publishers, they already started to make their own audiobooks, but I think this will become more and more popular, more and more important. Yes.
So it
But
is
I don't
working.
know, yeah, it is working.
Does it work with a certain age group? I mean, the 75-year-old, would he listen to books, or it's just something hip with the new generation, or what?
I think it's most popular for young adults, and I think that the young adult book market is most actively on or is most actively listening to audiobooks. Also, with the young adult fiction, you also have this book series. They are very popular on the audio market. Yeah, I'm not sure about the higher age group. So if old people who maybe become whose eyes get less and less good for reading, I don't know if they are picking up on that. That's something I had to look up myself. Yeah, that I don't know.
Ali is asking here on the Q&A, what about BookBeat?
Yeah, actually we do have BookBeat. They're doing huge marketing campaigns at the moment, but actually I don't know. I think Audible is still highly dominant. I don't know how BookBeat is catching up. I think they have focused some time on non-fiction market. That's something where Audible doesn't have too many things, I guess, but actually I'm not an expert on that segment. I'm not too sure about that.
Okay, and for Fatima, a question also from Ali earlier. What's next? It was like very, what are you going to do next?
Oh, that's an important and a hard question at the same time.
Do you have like the big next? Because also, let me tell you how I think, because PWB worked very well during the pandemic, because we were all at home all the time and busy and not busy. Maybe we worked longer, but we had also time in between to check our Facebook or to discuss or to attend. But once things get going and things starts to open and people start to meet in person and they have their more regular working hours, would this still be working as well, or you will have to change to something?
No, it should be still working, because PWB, I say that it's not for marketing or promotion, but it's not just for fun. We don't just share memes. We have very important sessions, as I mentioned in the presentation. We get to know different countries, different culture and literature around the world that we don't know much about. We have live events covering whatever happens in the publishing industry. We have book club likes. We have the mentorship programs that should be going all the way. And we also have the LinkedIn group, which is a business-based model where people can share context, can ask about business. And actually PWB has helped so many people, including me, to gain more connections worldwide, to open more opportunities and to get more business even from an indirect way. So I guess in the coming book fairs in the future, when we are able all to travel and meet each other, each one of us will be able to have a bigger network of people all around. So no, I don't think we are stopping. No, I guess we are even developing more, and I am sure that Simon has more potential for PWB and has more ideas for PWB, as you just gave us the idea of
during the book fair, even, yes, the podcast.
Yeah, the podcasting, yeah. And I was just telling them that we need to have our own fellowship, our PWB fellowship program as well. So who knows, maybe in the future we'll be competing with the book fairs as well.
Maybe this will be the new virtual book fair then.
Yeah.
We were doing this with the Oculus, with the new VR. Maybe things will move there. I don't know how soon or how far, but maybe this will happen. If you follow Nikki, she's really posting interesting stuff on the chat right now. She posted something about audiobooks from Frankfurt, and she's posting about Frankfurt, which is really happening this year, maybe not as big as before, but with the certain measures, people will be attending and people will be meeting face-to-face using the safe measures. If they can travel to Germany, that would be great. Also, I have to draw your attention that the Frankfurt Book Fair did have two initiatives, excellent ones that I used, but back there when it was 2008 and 2009, they have the invitation program and they have the fellowship program. And I think Nikki is the one to talk to about this. They are a very good program. The first one is like fully paid, even if you have any financial problem of traveling, and they support you with a small stand at the book fair, and they cover the whole trip. So it would be an excellent way if you have never been to Frankfurt Book Fair. It would be a very good initiative that you can use. And the second one is a bit like I say, it's the key that opens so many doors when you do the Fellowship of Frankfurt. And I think with PWB, they did a full interview or a session about fellowships around the world, and Nikki was there. She was talking about Frankfurt, and there are many others around the world. So I think, Fatima, these things are available online. Even if you miss them, you can check them YouTube or online.
Yeah,
They're still there.
They are all on the group already, and most of them already on the YouTube. So Prashant makes sure to make them available there, and otherwise they are all on the group, all the sessions we had.
Okay, so you can just check the Facebook or the Facebook and the YouTube to check all these things. They are very interesting, and believe me, you will get a lot of info about it. And also with what Miriam was saying about these initiatives, I think you're open to copy any ideas that she has. I think that's fair to do, and maybe Egyptianize it or Arabize it or try to make it more local. And maybe also we have our own initiatives with Instagram. I know that a lot of bookstores now are open on Instagram in the Arab world. They sell all over the Gulf, especially where people, and it's the best place to reach people there. I remember in 2009 when I was a fellow with Frankfurt, and we were discussing with people, Facebook was still something very new, and we said that publishers have their own pages, which was no pages at the time. There was an account for a publisher. So he called it with the publishing house, and he started to post about their books, and people were astonished that this is a social network. You shouldn't put business there. There was Zing, I think, at that time, and stuff like that you should use. Don't use it for business. And I said, well, it's the best place to reach people while they're doing their social stuff, and you advertise your book there. People were kind of offended, or they couldn't believe it. And then 2011 came with a revolution through Facebook, which was all social media was used at this. And then the whole world changed now that everybody is on social media. So Miriam, is there a very final do's and don'ts that you would recommend for publishers? Because we're running out of time.
Actually, I can't think of any don'ts. I think you can really try a lot. I think many social networks are worth trying. Like, even we had a small period where Clubhouse was really popular, and now no one's ever there anymore. I don't know how it's about Ibish, but Clubhouse has totally disappeared in Germany. But yeah, I think just try what feels good for you. Not every publisher feels good on every platform. So I think you have to find your ways to communicate with your customers and with the readers.
Fatima, any word from PWB to publishers who are not joining or are already there?
No, I can't believe that there are publishers that didn't join PWB yet. So I urge everybody to join, and I urge the publishers in PWB that they are not participating or a bit of kind of shy to participate. So please participate, speak up what you have. Even if you don't speak English, there is a translation feature in Facebook, so we can all get in touch and be all together. And hopefully we can have a real meeting for BWB very soon.
Thank you all very much for your presence, for those who participate. And we want to thank you all, and we're looking forward to meeting you the day after tomorrow at 2 o'clock with Ali, and there will be a very interesting session about new initiatives and new business models. This will be really important, and I would really recommend you all do the same, and see you soon. And for last, Nikki has posted the YouTube link, so you can follow us there and see what you missed. Thank you very much, and see you soon. Bye.